So you were you had a scholarship to Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like being a scholarship athlete in the storied franchise of Penn State, walking around?
Wow, it was fabulous. Happy Valley, Nittany Lions. I'll never forget my first home game was against the Ohio State Buckeyes. They ran out, and I always loved the Ohio State uniforms, and I was like, man, I made it, you know, since you're Pee-wee football and junior high and high school, and then here you are in Nittany Lion Stadium with the lion, and the atmosphere was absolutely incredible. So, yeah, a lot of fun memories. I met my wife there, Peggy, and so a lot of great memories of my freshman year at Penn State.
Were you treated differently, like being on the football team and an athlete? Were you treated differently walking around campus?
That's a good question. You know, it's such a huge mega campus. It's really spread out. And Joe Paterno was very intentional on having us blend into the student body. We stayed in the regular dorms. Right. There wasn't like athletic dorms.
Right.
And we ate the regular cafeteria with the rest of the student body, which I thought was wonderful. Mm-hmm. Gave it more of a real college experience. So other than if your size really gave you away, like a lot of us, you felt like a regular college student, which I thought was, maybe that was part of the secret sauce for him with the players, and the players doing pretty good in school and academically and things. Yeah, I thought it was a wonderful environment.
And Joe Paterno personally came to your home to recruit you, is that true?
Oh, he clinched it. You imagine? How could you refuse Joe Paterno the night before the national signing day? It's probably because he had everybody else he already wanted.
Right.
But he came to my high school basketball game, which was quite a deal.
Wow.
Was that Joe Paterno? And then he came to our house and afterwards. So that was the night before National Signing Day, and I ended up signing with them. Definitely was a huge, heavy selling point.
Right. Were you a fan of Penn State beforehand?
Yeah. Growing up in New York, they didn't recruit heavily. They were more Ohio, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. So it's very unusual for them to come into Western New York.
Right.
So, which was a huge honor in of itself to recruit me. So, and for him to come himself, flying in the private plane, and oh my gosh, that was. Yeah, I was definitely, get back to your original question, a fan of Penn State Nittany Lion football for sure.
Did you have aspirations of maybe going to college in Buffalo originally?
You know, we did not have a major college program at the time. There's University of Buffalo now, and they're a Division I program. Right. Which, who knows, I might have stayed home, been a hometown boy.
Right.
If that was today. But we didn't have a major college football program at the time.
Just to flash to current events, how did you feel about the whole Joe Paterno scandal, how that ended up playing out for him and his legacy? Do you think that tarnished his legacy at all, and coming from an opinion of someone who played for him?
Wow. Jerry Sandusky was our linebackers coach, and I think he might have been defensive coordinator. He'd just gotten that when I was there. And a real high energy guy. Just goes to show you never know where evil lurks, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Right. When you first heard that news, did it shake you?
I was blown away that by all that, as far as Jerry and Coach Sandusky, and then the way everything unfolded was shocking as well. I don't know all the obviously inside stuff. And I don't know what really, I only went by like you did and all of us did what was released by the press.
Right, of course.
About Joe Paterno, that he did turn it over to the proper authorities at the university. I think the conjecture with him was, from what I understand, was that could he have followed up more and with his influence on the university, should he have made a bigger deal out of it once he handed over to the university hierarchy, and to make sure there was a lot of follow-up on it.
Right.
And that's, I think, I mean, was that kind of the feeling you got? Was kind of, they didn't, obviously, no one thought Joe Paterno was trying to cover it up.
Right.
But was he vociferous enough in seeing that it was properly addressed?
maybe because of his position, where coming from a student athlete, was he treated like, I mean, for lack of a better term, a god? Was he looked at in the university?
Oh my gosh, the student body and us as
Right.
players, yeah, he was definitely I wouldn't say a god,
But
definitely highly revered.
Sure.
For sure.
Sure. So I think that just coming from a fan's perspective, and I didn't really delve into it, but maybe someone who has that much power and influence in a university would want to bring somebody like that to justice, and maybe that's why.
So I guess not being there at the time when all this came down, I was there when Happy Valley was Happy
Of
Valley,
course,
right?
of course.
Great
Of course.
college, great program, great coaching staff, great fans, great
It still is.
atmosphere. So, you know, it's hard for me to even comment on all that came down. It was so like unthinkable.
So from there, you went to the University of Miami, and it was weather. The weather really played an influence in that.
Well, I was 18 years old. My gosh, the weather, the women, the whole atmosphere to there. It was a really brutal winter. I was born and raised in Buffalo, and the whole winter in Happy Valley, I was thinking, man, why did I pick Penn State? As great as the football program of the school is, I'd hopping in buses and trying to get to class in blowing blizzard snow and freezing temperatures. We had a really rough winter that year.
Right.
So I fled. I told Peggy when we knew we were going to get married, I go, I'm going to go down to Miami and get us, because Miami provided on-campus apartments. If you were married, your own on-campus apartment. I go, we're going to be living the life down in Miami.
Right.
So I fled to Miami as a
Right.
young, impulsive youth.
I'm sure.
Really had nothing against Penn State, other than just they can't do anything about the weather.
What was the culture shock like when you first got there? Was it what?
Oh my
did you?
gosh, the student union at Miami is like a quadruple-sided Olympic pool with like a smoothie bar. And it's a whole student union built around the pool and the palm trees. Everybody goes to class in flip-flops and swim trunks and tank tops, and it was amazing. I was loving it.
I can imagine.
Can you imagine what's not to love?
I know. Well, now, was the football program as revered as in Miami as it was in Penn State, or was it not as prevalent? Like, was it just as important in the aspect of the campus and how they viewed it?
Definitely not at that point.
Right.
We weren't the U yet.
Right.
I was at the pleasure of being there at the very foundations when Jim Kelly came in, our quarterback, and so I was there at the very beginnings of the huge run we had through the 80s and 90s. So that was exciting to even look back now that got to be a part of the very beginning when the program really took off.
Right.
But it wasn't where Penn State was at as far as that level with on campus and as even a highly regarded program was. Although Miami always played a really incredible schedule, like the toughest or one of the top 5 schedules in the country.
Right.
And because of that, and as we now know, the incredible recruiting out of Florida, we always were an incredible high number of NFL players and draft picks came out of Miami, which is an attraction for me as well.
Right.
We put out a lot of NFL players, even though we didn't have the program like at Penn State. We actually were, even back then, before we had the success of the 80s and 90s, we still churned out a lot of NFL top picks.
Right. That's what my next question was going to be. Did you think going there you would be exposed to NFL scouts more than possibly you would have Penn State?
Not more, but I definitely felt that I wouldn't get overlooked there.
Right.
At all. So that was, definitely. As far as making NFL, which I had aspirations for, I wouldn't have put one program more over the other, I would say.
Right.
It was the beach and the weather.
What was the relationship with the coach at Miami as opposed to the coach at Paterno? Did you notice a huge difference?
The coach at Miami at the time was, my first year was Lou Saban.
Right.
From the NFL, so much different. He brought the NFL mentality there in a good way.
Right.
So definitely a different style than Joe Paterno, Joe Pa.
Right. So then there was some disciplinary things that happened with you that led to you being thrown off the team.
Yeah, how did you get thrown off Miami?
I mean,
people still ask me, how did you get kicked off that program back at the early beginnings of of the most notorious college program ever for like high tolerance of beer. How could you have got kicked off?
It must have been wild times,
Yeah,
right?
it was. Just got with a wild group of guys. We did a bunch of crazy stuff around on campus, off campus,
Right.
and I didn't realize it, but they wanted me to be suspended, and I was so headstrong back then. I just went out and quit the team. I was in mid-semester. They wanted to suspend me for the rest of the season, and I was so headstrong back then and rebellious that I just left the program. And they were all like, "What is he doing?"
Right.
We just wanted to like finish the semester, and then come back in spring ball and earn a spot back.
And then you get an offer to play Canadian football?
Of influential alumni was friends with a scout in the CFL.
Right.
And they looked at my film, and while I was bouncing at the clubs, they offered in the off season, they offered me a contract to come to the Canadian Football League. So I jumped at it.
Now, going from University of Miami, now you're going to Canada.
Montreal.
Talk about culture
Ooh,
shock.
what a great town.
Now, was that...
I was loving it.
You did love it.
Oh my gosh, Montreal.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Some of the most beautiful women on the planet, and
did you still have aspirations?
And the nightlife there, and the atmosphere in Montreal. We were at the Olympic Stadium that was built there. It was like, at the time, considered like a marvel with a retractable roof and
right.
and all that stuff. It was incredible.
Now, going there, did you still have NFL thoughts in your head, or were you just like you happy in doing?
I was going with the flow, man. I couldn't go to the NFL because back then your class had to graduate.
Right.
So I still had a couple years left.
Right.
So I'm thinking, well, it'd be good if I still play some football. So rather just sit out for 2 more years,
right.
not play any football, and just languish.
So then it was on to the USFL after the CFL?
No, I went to NFL for a couple years at Green Bay.
Oh, that's right.
And then I went to USFL.
Right.
But
so that when you made it to the NFL, when you went to play for Green Bay, did you feel like you made it? Like at the time, like was this like a culmination of like your whole life? Like I'm here, NFL, or was it not? Did you not take it? Did you just take it in stride, like it was just something else you were doing?
Football was, I must have meant to be a pro wrestler. Because football to me was, I could get 6 months off and really train. Football almost got in the way of my love of working out. I told you I've had a lifelong passion. So it was like, I wanted to set all the records in the weight room and stuff, and almost like training camp and the games I had fun with them,
right.
Enjoyed them, but it almost like they got in the way of my training and being able to work out year round.
Right.
So I didn't realize it maybe even then, but I was really beelining towards, without knowing it, professional wrestling was like custom made for me.